Right when I try to record, I'm not going to get no lightning. Yet all I've been seeing for the last 2 weeks is lightning. This is our parking stall. Basically, this campground goes around the corner here. Goes all the way down there. And then around this corner. Goes all the way down there too. And that's it. This looks like a racetrack around here.
That place right there. We're gonna try and see if it's any good.
How did you find out about it?
Sandy looked it up. It's #1 on Yelp.
Okay. Mesa Verde. So I'm hungry for some authentic Mexican food. We're gonna try this place out. It was the #1 review on Yelp. Oh, some of the most reviewed and some of the best reviews, almost 5 stars. So we're gonna go give it a try. Hopefully it's as good as they say it is.
That looks like something that would be authentic. Because it has egg. That's
Nice.
a thing that we would do.
This is the first time I got beans with my salsa.
Those look good. Those desserts look good.
Did you enjoy your food?
Yes, very much so.
Was it authentic? Authentic enough for you?
It was pretty close. All the mixture, only the cheese wasn't the kind of cheese that they would have in Mexico, but all the flavors were pretty close.
As for me, I enjoyed it. But I'm so full, and I know he's gonna get dessert.
He's gonna get dessert.
I have to deal with it.
There's a restaurant around here that serves food.
This cool place. That's awesome.
There's a telephone booth too. You want to go check that out? $5 per person. National parks.
Trying to stay on New Mexico 597.
What is it?
It says admission $5 per person. National park pass not accepted.
Good.
You have to pay. You made it this far. You have to pay.
What if you have no money? What are they gonna make you do?
They'll make you work.
Yeah.
Hi, two. Two. Good. There was a special spot for Arnie. Hopefully, you have space. Oh, that's dirty over there. New truck. There might be.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that looks like shit.
Welcome to Utah.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to New Mexico.
Wow.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna go real slow. Because if we go on the right end, somebody turning around won't be able to get out. Like, if they turned around, then what do they do, right?
Yeah. All right, baby.
I bet so. Here we are at Four Corners. Which Four Corners are we at?
All four of them.
What are they?
New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Utah.
So, here's where you can be standing in 4 states at one time. By the way, Jeffrey, thank you for this hat. It's awesome. What'd you buy?
Pottery. Birthday pottery.
Here you go, 45. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for 100?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And where are you guys from?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Wow. Welcome to Four Corners.
Thank you.
You are in Utah right now.
Oh, this is Utah?
Yes, the site is Utah. You just
Okay.
crossed the state line there.
Oh, okay.
You sell in Utah?
No. We sell in all 4 states. So that's buffalo bones, rabbit fur, and duck feathers.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
How long does it take you to make one?
I do them in batches. So I do like a batch of 20. So I do a batch of 20. It takes me 3 days to finish them.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And sometimes I say to myself, like, oh, why did I start this? But
Because you make people like us happy when we
yeah.
buy
$60 is your change.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
You guys
Have a good day.
good one.
These are the best.
This is the line we gotta stand in.
Mesa Top Loop Audio Tour, a Pueblo perspective on Mesa Verde.
Guatsi Gaitawa Hopa. Greetings and welcome to this special place called Mesa Verde National Park. My name is Thelma Jean Atzi, TJ for short, and I am a park ranger here at Mesa Verde. I am Laguna Pueblo, a direct descendant of the people who used to live here, and am part of a continuous evolution of Pueblo people. I love working here at Mesa Verde because I am able to share about my people, my heritage, and my culture. Please join me as we explore the Mesa Top Loop. At the 10 stops along the 6-mile drive, we will follow the footsteps left here by my Pueblo ancestors and discover their Mesa Verde, a story of success, innovation, trial, and survival. 1,500 years ago, ancestral Pueblo people began to set down permanent roots here on Mesa Verde, and for the next 700 years, generations of people called this place home. They built villages on the mesa tops and in the cliffs. They grew crops, raised their children, and produced beautiful art and pottery. In the 1200s, they moved on. I would like visitors to know that we didn't just leave and disappear. When the ancestors left Mesa Verde, they migrated toward the south, where we still live today in 21 pueblos in the states of New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas. Each pueblo group is unique, but we share many things. We carry on many of the same traditions as our ancestors did. We sing the same songs, dance the same dances, play the same games, and tell the same stories. I would like our visitors to know that this is more than just a national park and a World Heritage Site. This is still a living place. We still make pilgrimages back to Mesa Verde to visit the ancestors and gather strength and resilience from them. I ask you to please visit with respect. I hope that when you hear our stories, you will begin to see these places as we do, not as ruins, but as homes. Remember the ancestors wherever you go. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they aren't there. If you are genuine and true and respectful, the ancestors will welcome you. I hope that you will learn from this place and not just about it. Please take your time, drive carefully, park sensibly, and be considerate of others. When you arrive at the next stop, press next track to hear the next part of the story. You could also follow along from your home or school to explore Mesa Verde virtually. Stop 1, Pit House, Beginnings. Many Pueblo people believe that we came from the north. Others believe that they came from within the Grand Canyon. It's clear that people have been on this landscape for at least 12,000 years since the last ice age. At one time, the Pueblo people were nomadic. They would find a good place with an abundance of deer and elk, or rich harvests of berries and piñon or pine nuts. They would stay for a while, then move on with the seasons. Farming changed everything for the ancient Pueblo people. 4,000 years ago, domesticated crops spread up along trade routes from Mexico and began a slow revolution here. Over time, people adopted these crops to thrive here on the Colorado Plateau. Although people began to rely less on wild foods and more on agriculture, they kept their rich traditions of wild plant use. These continue among their descendants. Around 1,500 years ago, the families of the early Pueblo farmers started to build the first permanent homes here. This is one of them. Archaeologists call these homes pit houses because they are dug down into the ground to take advantage of the earth's natural insulation. This helped to keep them cool in summer and cozy in winter. You entered the house by a ladder through a domed roof built out of wooden beams plastered with mud. These early Pueblo people are sometimes called basket makers because they wove many fine baskets from yucca and willow. Some of these baskets survive today. They show us their skill in artistry. Looking up at the roof from inside a pit house, the wooden ceiling of entwined beams would have also looked like a basket. Stop 2, Navajo Canyon, Home. Based on our Pueblo origin stories, the ancestors settled here because this is where we were meant to be. They found this place and were comfortable, where they could grow their crops and harvest Mother Earth's resources. This allowed our people to flourish here. Their villages sprouted across these mesas for the next 700 years. Pueblo people have different names for this place. In the Hopi language, this place is known as Bear Ridge. The people from Acoma Pueblo know this whole region as a wide area of dwellings. From here, you can see why the Spanish called Mesa Verde the Green Table. The mesas are covered like a blanket with a dense forest of piñon pines and junipers. This rich ecosystem supports more than 1,000 species, including several that live nowhere else on Earth. The mesa's high elevation and steep canyons might make this seem a difficult place to carve out a living, but Mesa Verde made a good home for the ancient Pueblo people because it offers plentiful resources, fertile soil, and a good water supply. Stop 3, Square Tower House, Sharing Our History. Square Tower House is one of Mesa Verde's most famous and beautiful cliff dwellings. Can you believe the skill it must have taken to build their homes in such a hard-to-reach spot? Imagine the work that went into carving each sandstone block by hand. They built these structures that have lasted for hundreds of years. That was no easy task, but they accomplished it. Since the cliff dwellings are protected from weather inside their alcoves, they are best preserved ancient homes here at Mesa Verde. I think this is what makes them so fascinating to our visitors and to people from all around the world. They capture our imagination by offering us an amazing window into our past. Some rooms in Square Tower House still have their original wooden ceilings and floors and well-preserved painted murals on the walls. Inside, archaeologists found an almost perfect reed mat, a feathered cloth, and a figurine of a person. When local cowboys and then tourists started to explore these cliff dwellings in the late 1800s, they found many other amazing things. A coiled length of yucca fiber rope more than 1,300 feet long, 3 mugs tied together, hanging from a peg inside a room, and a mural of bighorn sheep circling the wall of a kiva. During that time, people took many objects home as souvenirs, or to sell them, forever erasing part of the history of this place. To protect and celebrate these amazing pieces of the past, Mesa Verde was established as America's first cultural national park in 1906 and America's first World Heritage Site, along with Yellowstone National Park in 1978. But for a long time, Pueblo people did not have a voice in telling our own story. Even though we never have forgotten these places. Stop 4. Pit Houses and Pueblos. Building on Success. At this stop, there are actually 3 different villages built in 3 different centuries. Here, you'll see a pit house from the 600s, an early pueblo from the 800s, and a stone masonry pueblo with a deep underground kiva built in the 900s. This series of villages demonstrates the evolution of many cultural hallmarks that are still important to us today. As you explore here, notice how some things change while others have stayed the same. Start off at the Pit House Village down the trail on the right. The pit houses were the first structures built by our ancestors. These here were built about 100 years after the one at the first stop. They dug down deeper into the ground, but other than that, they are pretty similar. Walk over to the next shelter, covering the remains of the other 2 villages. By the year 850, they started to build their houses above ground out of wood and mud plaster, and then out of carved stone blocks. As their houses went above ground, they started to make kivas, circular underground rooms dug down even further into Mother Earth. When people lived here, the kivas had flat wooden roofs that people could walk across. That made the area on top of the kivas a big open plaza. The kivas that you see here are just like the kivas that the present-day Pueblo people still use today for religious dances, ceremonies, celebrations, and as gathering places for the community. Kivas were the center of our communities and still are. The word kiva comes from the Hopi language. Many Pueblo kivas today are still circular and underground, but some kivas are square, rectangular, or above ground. What all kivas share, from the past to the present, is that they are a sacred place. I hope that our visitors will be respectful and appreciate the importance kivas have for us as Pueblo people. Archaeologists find evidence of good farming conditions and expanded population during this period. This success led people to invest in larger, more lasting homes built out of stone rather than wood. Around this time, people started making more pottery and fewer baskets. These changes point to the success of Pueblo farmers and the emergence of a more permanent lifestyle here. At the next stop, we'll explore how their lives changed along with their homes. Stop 5, Mesa Top Sites, at home in a Pueblo. At first glance, all you see here might be a jumble of fallen stones. But look around you with the knowledge you have already gained. What do you see? Can you find evidence of overlapping walls, towers, and kivas? Can you imagine this place as a home? Close your eyes and imagine the sounds. Dogs barking, turkeys gobbling, an axe hitting a tree, fires crackling, stones sliding against stone, conversations, kids running around laughing and playing. These are the sounds of home. Through archaeology and cultural knowledge, we can read the story of this place. Generations of people chose to build and rebuild in the same spot over 2 centuries. What tied these people to this place? Good fertile soil? The spring a quarter mile away? Or maybe this was just home. When a family set down roots, they stayed. When I look at this place, I imagine the family farm, the grandparents telling stories to the children, the wisdom of the ancestors being passed down through the generations. Today, many Pueblo people are matrilineal, meaning that property is handed down from mother to the mother's children. In my Pueblo, traditionally the home was inherited by the family's youngest daughter. Every person is also a member of a clan. At Laguna Pueblo, we have clans like the Sun, Roadrunner, Antelope, Oak, Turkey, Bear, and Coyote. We inherit our major clan from our mothers. My clan is Big Roadrunner on my mother's side and Little Sun on my father's side. Every clan has their own story about how and when they came to our Pueblo. Under the shelter, you can see a large, beautiful kiva over on the right. The kiva was the center of this community. Community means everything for Pueblo people. No matter which village you came from, no matter what clan you are, no matter what role you have within your society, there is always a feeling of community. You take care of your family, but you also watch out for everyone else, and they watch out for you. I wonder about the story of the clan who once lived here. Kivas are a place to share stories. At Laguna Pueblo, the story of our people's migration is shared in the kivas every spring. All the generations of men gather together where they will sit and talk and share for 4 or 5 days. It's also spoken in Keres, our native language. Nothing is written down. Nothing is recorded. In fact, that's forbidden. Then the menfolk return home and they share the stories with their families. Stop 6, Sun Point Pueblo, Corn Mother. Here at Sun Point Pueblo, this modern roof protects an excavated kiva and tower. But this is just the center of a large sprawling pueblo. Look out across the landscape and see the mounds of stone, and you can start to get an idea of how large this village really was. Blocks of multi-storied buildings surrounded this inner courtyard. Archaeologists found nearly 30 rooms here, and they think this village was home to about 50 people. This was one of the last large pueblos to be built on the mesa top, just as the trend of quilt dwelling construction began to boom around the year 1200. This community was inhabited for only about 10 years, and it seems like many of its walls were deconstructed so that its stones and roof timbers could be reused. The ancient Pueblo people believed in recycling. My ancestors were resourceful people, conscientious of their environment. The life of Pueblo people in these villages would have been active and busy. Winter, spring, summer, and fall, they were always doing something. Stop 7, Sun Point, downtown Mesa Verde. From Sun Point, you are looking at downtown Mesa Verde of the 1200s. How many cliff dwellings can you spot? There are 35 cliff dwellings in these canyons before you, and you can see at least 10 from here. Can you imagine what it would be like to see this 800 years ago when thousands of people lived here? Can you imagine the sounds that once echoed off the rocks? Close your eyes. What do you hear? We teach our children by our 5 senses, so I encourage you to use all your senses to experience Mesa Verde. If you hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, then you will learn the essence of this place. If you allow yourself to be open, the ancestors may whisper to you. Sometimes you may even see them. If you stop for a minute and close your eyes, you can hear the kids laughing, the women talking. You can hear the drums. You can smell the cooking fires, and you can feel their presence, their warmth, and their sense of community. When I look at these ancient homes, I think about how my ancestors were resourceful, loving people. We did things together, cooking, farming, caring for one another. We respected nature. We respected the animals, the trees, the flowers, and we respected our resources, everything that we counted on to sustain our lives here. We respected all the signs that were shown and brought to us. Stop 8, Oak Tree House. Why live in the cliffs? Across the canyon, you can see a closer view of Oak Tree House, a cliff dwelling with about 60 rooms. Why some of the population moved down into cliff dwellings in the 1200s remains one of Mesa Verde's most captivating questions. These sandstone alcoves offer protection from the often harsh elements. Freezing snowy winters and the sweltering summers marked by torrential thunderstorms. But more importantly, they are often close to Mesa Verde's most precious resource. Can you see how it's greener down inside the canyon? There are no permanent natural water sources on the mesa top, so people may have decided to move closer to the springs that seep from the canyon walls. The natural sandstone alcoves that house these cliff dwellings were formed over millions of years by water erosion. Water from rain and snow filters down through the porous sandstone. Then when it hits a layer of clay-rich shale in these cliffs, it seeps out, forming lush springs that bring life to these canyons. Stop 9, Fire Temple and New Firehouse, the Plaza. Looking down at the head of this canyon, you can see one of these lush springs. Across the canyon and to the right, you can see the upper and lower alcoves of New Firehouse. Can you see the hand and toe hold trail connecting them? On the left is Fire Temple with a large open plaza. Of the nearly 5,000 archaeological sites found at Mesa Verde, there are only a few plazas like the one at Fire Temple. Stop 10, Sun Temple, seeking a new home. Sun Temple has 1,000 feet of carefully pecked, finely cut stone walls with nearly 30 rooms and 3 kivas arranged in a D shape. A tower which would have had a clear view across this densely populated canyon junction stands off to the side. The fact that archaeologists found neither roof beams nor household goods here suggests that Sun Temple was unroofed or was never finished, or maybe its beams were recycled for later construction. Whatever the case may be, the walls of Sun Temple stood witness to the migration that was about to unfold. In the 1200s, the people here started to leave, not as a big group, but family by family and village by village. By 1300, they were gone from the area. Why did everybody leave? It's one of the most asked questions here at Mesa Verde. There are many books written by archaeologists, anthropologists, and historians about why. But from a Pueblo perspective, I think it was just their time to go. They received a sign that it was time to move on. They did what they were supposed to do while they were here. Migration is a movement of people for many different reasons. Maybe as families grew over time, they started to deplete their resources. The fertile areas became played out. There were a series of long droughts. They had to go further distances for game and for timber. Eventually, people began to think, we had better find a better place. Otherwise, we won't be able to survive. The ancient ones knew that in order for them to survive and sustain, they needed to leave. They realized that they needed to branch out so they could become who we are today. Migration also means exploration. Our ancestors would have done their research to be sure that there would be enough resources so that they could grow food and defend themselves and survive in a new home. I think the ancient Pueblo people searched all around this Four Corners area and came back to tell their families and their leaders, hey, we walked for days and days, and we found this big river way down south where it's lush and green. It would be a really great place to farm, and see how we do. It took different strategies and spiritual signs and indicators to lead us to become who we are today. Stop 11, Cliff Palace View, the Pueblo today. This spectacular view showcases Cliff Palace, the largest cliff dwelling in North America and one of the world's most magnificent treasures. There are more than 150 rooms and 21 kivas inside. Cliff Palace was built and occupied over a period of about 100 years. Our culture flourished here, and though the people left, the culture was not lost. They left their pottery, their ropes, and their homes, but they brought the most important things with them. They brought their stories, their memories, and their traditions.
All this burnt forest area is from a fire back in 2002. Can you imagine? It burned in 2002 and almost 20 years later, there's not really that much growth that's come back. That can show you how devastating a forest fire could be.
Oh, I can't send it. Yeah, you want to get some? Sweet. Oh, that's a lot. Oh, here, let's fill you up the bag. Yeah. Save some for the other areas. They might be bigger or smaller.
Rainbow? Yeah, I know.
There's food. This is their whole life. These are gonna be good whenever a fly lands on the water. They're gonna get it. So all the fishermen are gonna be happy. You guys fishing?
Hello, sir. Do you work here? Hello, sir. Do you work here?
Yes, I need to see your ID. Here we are at historic downtown Durango.
There's a storm coming in. There's a lot of lightning right here. Seems to be the normal around here though during summer. Lightning storms almost every day we've been here. We're gonna try some tacos at the taco bar. Keep that.
This is corn on the cob, it's really messy.
No, wait, try that again.
This is corn on the cob, it's really messy.
I got the one in the cup.
Not as messy.
Because, you know, girls a little smarter sometimes. Well, that's just right. And I'm cold.
Caramel.